Thank you so much, Chair Holden and members of the committee. My name is Steve Kuyan from the Tandon School of Engineering. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship at Tandon, where I oversee the Tandon Future Labs, and as Julia mentioned, work with her at the Center for Responsible AI. I'm also an investment advisor to numerous startups, board member of the Business Incubator Association of New York State, and I'm a member of the U.S. Council for Competitiveness. My hope is that my perspective comes from launching the first New York City sponsored incubator in 2009 that helped early stage companies successfully translate technology investments, including AI and ADS, into successful commercially viable products for markets hungry for optimization, efficiency, and scale. Ensuring AI can transfer from lab to market is going to be one of the biggest economic opportunities of our generation, and one that is instrumental for the health of our startup ecosystem here in New York City and the competitiveness of our country. Without oversight and regulation, wealth from AI will be concentrated in companies that are able to harness and deploy it. And that's already happening. Just think about the companies that we go to for our everyday needs. As such, AI must be deployed responsibly, ethically, and with transparency if it's to reach the promise of scale in a wide array of critical sectors, like maybe discussed today: medicine, mobility, education, banking, law, and employment. And without the public oversight and well-tailored regulation, current conditions indicate that AI will evolve in the dark and sold on the quality of marketing campaigns. So I'd like to sort of make two quick recommendations based on 1894. The first is focused on the data assets that companies have. So most data assets that a company currently have are being considered for AI solutions and technologies, as vendors are developing and deploying such tools without any oversight as to how the data influences future decisions on any dimension other than generating more revenue. And today, there's no agreed upon standard in place that allows for third-party regulatory industry validation by cities or nonprofits and the like. So companies buy into this overpromise of efficient results without any knowledge of what's under the hood or what it means to enforce accountability and due process. And that leads to my second point, which is most companies, like the ones that are incubated within the NYU Tandon Future Labs and most other startups that employ these tools, are not aware of the liability and responsibility that is instilled in them when they purchase these solutions, not understanding that they're liable for the decisions. We have one such example of a company that works with us at the Center for Responsible AI that gives buildings in New York City a grade based on data that's available from various departments within New York City and reviews. And they know full well that building owners will hold the company liable for any mistakes that their system makes. And it's rare for a company like this one to have gone out and with an audit. And it took well over a year to do so. And the liability that they face is very similar to the liability automated decision systems and hiring will face. It's my recommendation that the council, through such organizations as our Center for Responsible AI, ensures that companies that purchase these systems understand the liability that is instilled in them when they purchase these systems. Let me please close by offering some closing remarks. We know that public education efforts, as Julia mentioned, are critical. Of consumers surveyed, not just within our projects, but generally 62% said they put a higher trust in companies whose AI interactions they perceive as ethical. And the inverse is true when they're not seen as ethical. New York City needs to enact this bold vision for the deployment of these tools as it aligns with societal norms as we expect to see in the future we all want to live in. 1894 may not be perfect as we are discussing today, but it's a necessity for automated decision systems to have better utility and ultimately for the continued research and the adoption of AI. The time to do this is now, otherwise we risk getting too far and facing a backlash towards AI that will risk our global position as an innovation hub here in New York and globally, or worse, not having the opportunity to ever enforce these systems again, similar to the world's inability to have any oversight over the AI recommendation tools that power our social media platforms. Thank you very much for your time.